Eamon and Beck are two of the most popular van lifers on all of YouTube, all of social media. Today we're going to look back at their original van build, talk about the pros and cons of their different design decisions that they made while building this van. Let's get right into it. Eamon and Beck's first van build.
Hey everyone, we're Eamon and Beck, and today we're going to show you around our self-converted Sprinter van.
2008 Dodge Sprinter. We got it used with just under 200,000 kilometers. It's a diesel engine, so we're not too concerned about that mileage.
200,000 kilometers, that's a lot. And I know they did have engine problems with this van. As with buying any kind of used vehicle, knowing the maintenance history, how many people have owned it, what it's been used for, is all important information to consider when purchasing a vehicle, especially the van you're going to live out of.
One of the first things we modified or built was this extra headliner storage. This has proven to be super useful. So we store a lot of our electronics. We squeeze a little DJI drone back there, extra pot, big bowl, and then extra jackets, towels, stuff like that.
In the future, they had this van broken into and all their electronics were stolen. So, I mean, as you can see, just the drone is out in the middle of nowhere. So if anyone breaks into this van, they can grab it. So ideally, it's nice to have a place in the van that is a little more hidden, maybe, or if you have, some people build in safes in their van where you can put the important electronic stuff that is worth a lot of money and you don't want to lose if someone breaks into the van.
We reuse our milk containers just in case you get in a sticky situation. You can relieve yourself inside of the van.
Hey!
Ain't that right, Beck?
I never done that before.
Yeah, right. Next is we did install a swivel seat. It really helps open up, you know, the cab from the kind of dining living room area. So this obviously super useful to get some extra space right beside the fridge there so you can grab a cold one.
The swivel seat's huge, especially in a small van like this. This is the 144 wheelbase Sprinter. It allows you to turn the cab into a more livable space rather than something you only use exclusively when you drive.
Welcome to the heart of our home. It's the kitchen, dining room, living room space. It's only about 20 square feet, but it sure works for us, and let me show you why. Let's start with our overhead cabinet area. Over here we store things like olive oil, balsamic, we've got our nuts, tea, a few extra spices. We've got all the dishes we could ever want, mugs, glasses, and our whole cabinet for the bathroom.
I like there how they have hooks specifically for mugs. They have that area specifically for 2 glasses. Everything has its place. They know what they need, don't need any extra, and it just fits. So that's ideal.
Over here we've got our sink. So we do know that a lot of RVs opt for quite a smaller sink, but for us we really value and are really enjoying having a large sink. One of those reasons is that I can wash my hair at any given time with the help of Eamon, of course.
I agree with having a large sink. We did a large sink in the Project Today van build, and it was so nice. Just so nice to have more room to do dishes. And if you really need that space as countertop space as well, a lot of people will get a cutting board of some kind that's just the size of the sink that you can put over the sink and act as area, that usable counter space, but then also have the large sink. I think that's the ideal solution for if you need extra counter space, but also want a large sink.
We do have a water filtration system. So it's a 2-step filtration system. That helps us feel confident in knowing that we can drink water that we grab from anywhere. So running water is pretty key in this space. We've got just our regular water here. This faucet comes from Amazon. We're quite happy with that retractable. It helps clean up the area quite nicely and just...
Yeah, that faucet was $100, guys. It's like amazing. It's turned out really well.
Yep, soap dispenser here.
One thing about this, if anyone knows this in the comments, please let me know, because I'm not sure why people don't do this. I've seen a few van builds where rather than having this two water system where you have the sink system and the filtered water system, some people will just do it where they have the water tank. All water from your water tank goes into the filtration system, and then that means all water in your van is filtered. Then you don't even need the filtered water thing because the main faucet water is filtered. I'm planning on doing that in the second van build that I do. Let me know if there's something that I'm missing there.
Moving along, we've got our 2-burner stovetop. So that's a Summit series. At first we had a few issues converting it to Canadian propane, but you can watch our build series and see how we overcame those challenges. 2 aesthetic things that we added to the kitchen space that we're actually really loving are this magnetic strip. So at first we were a bit concerned that the knives and things would fly off during takeoff and moving around, but they've stuck quite nicely and we're very happy with that.
A lot of people in vans do this. I've seen it in a lot of different van tours, and everyone says that it works, the magnetic stuff. So pretty cool feature, looks nice, and functional it seems.
And then second is the fruit basket. So it's great for extra storage, but one thing I will note is that sometimes your bananas get a little bit bruised. Then let's go into how it all works.
Speaking of bananas, in the Project Today van, we sometimes, when we'd get some bananas, we would just leave them on the countertop as we drove. And that's not an ideal solution, of course, because if you slam on the brakes or something, they're going to move. But if you're just driving around town, they usually don't really move, and they stay on the counter, and they don't get very bruised either. So if you want a place to store your bananas, just put it on the countertop.
So if you come down here, you'll see our water storage situation. So we, at any time, have 3 5-gallon freshwater tanks. So those are our blue ones, and they run off into our gray water in the back there. While we're down here, we'll show you that it is propane that fuels our stovetop there.
Oh, it's not ideal to have just a propane tank out like this. For safety's sake, I think this is based on marine regulations. You want a vented propane locker. So it's really a box that the propane tank lives in, and then it's vented down below because the propane is inherently heavier than air. So it sinks down, and then if you do have a leak, it's trapped inside this locker, and it will sink down through your drainage, through your vented hole if any propane leaks. You don't really want to have propane just sitting in the middle of a cabinet like this, especially in a space that you're living in.
And that's fully bolted in, guys. It's not going anywhere.
And then our 2 drawer spaces. One we use for utensils, soap, and all the cooking tools. And the other we store heavy cans and peanut butter, all that kind of good stuff. So it's a bit heavy, but it's very solid down there. And last but not least, I'll show you through our fridge. So it's a Dometic fridge. It's about 55-liter fridge. On the front, we've got our spices from Nice Spice. They're awesome. It's perfect for small living because they're magnetized. So you can just stick them and spice up your life. And then
I like that spice system a lot. It looks really cool and is functional. Gives you a nice place to store the spices. I think it's cool.
Inside of the fridge, go easy on us. We haven't been shopping today, but you can just have a quick peek in there. Beautiful. And
there's not much space in that fridge. I know in a future video they actually upgrade their fridge to a much bigger fridge just to give them more freedom. This just tiny fridge can't fit a lot in there.
I forgot one more thing.
What'd you forget? The most important part?
The most important part. So I told Eamon I am not moving into a van unless I can bring my high-speed blender. So he made that happen for me.
Talking about the ceiling, we went with pine, tongue and groove. We decided to leave it natural. It really helps make the space feel a little bit bigger. And I'm really happy we decided to do that. We've got 6 LED lights and we've sectioned those off. So the first 2 have a switch right here. So when you come in at night, you can quickly flip the lights on, and that's proven to be very key. We've got our fantastic fan. This thing's amazing. We didn't go with like the fancy model, but we're still super stoked on it. It's got 3 speeds, so when we're cooking, it can actually suck air up, or at night we usually leave it on 1 or 2 and it helps create a nice draft. The entire van is run off of solar.
Okay, before we talk about the electrical system, quickly, the lights. I like that it's sectioned off into 2 sections. I wish we did that in the Project Today van. It's just nice to have a little bit more freedom with which lights are on, which lights are off at any given time. And this way, if someone's sleeping in the bed, for example, but you still want some light in the kitchen, even though the space is very small, it's nice not to have the lights directly over the bed on, and you can just turn the lights right over the kitchen on. So
we've got a 320 watt panel on the roof that's bolted there at all times. And we've got 2 100 amp hour deep cycle AGM batteries. House batteries that are totally disconnected from the front of the cab. This is where all of our electronics are housed, and we needed an area that we could access. So this panel just quickly snaps out of place, same with that one. And that's just on magnets at the top, and then it fits in there nicely.
All right, now let's move into our lounge bed.
The electrical system, 100 amp hours, well, 200 amp hours, but only 100 amp hours usable because it's AGM and you can only discharge them 50%, is not a ton. I think they upgrade in a future video, once again, upgrade that. But I mean, the electrical system is expensive. And if you're just doing a basic build like this was initially, then I totally understand. I mean, only doing a small amount of electrical, that's enough, that works. As long as you're just using it for charging laptops, phones, you know, nothing crazy. The blender probably takes a lot of power, but not using that super often.
Area. Right now we've got it in what we call couch mode. We will show you the slat design that changes from couch to bed in just a second, but before we do, I'll show you how we work and eat on the road. So we just take this quick little pole. I don't know why it's quick, but you know. We stick it in there, and then I sit down on my couch, and out pops my table. So often we'll just set up, work here for the day, open up the windows, and we've got the beach as our beautiful office for the day, or we'll eat dinner from the road.
It's a nice system. Again, pretty basic. Honestly, looking at this van build, it's funny because you look at their van build that they just did about a year ago, and it's just so much more upgraded than this build is. This build is really, at its core, a pretty basic build, but also goes to show that it has everything you need because they've used this van to travel around Europe, around North Africa, all around the US, around Mexico, around Canada. They've done all of that with a pretty simple build here. So it really just goes to show that some of these vans that you see online that are $100,000, $200,000, those are crazy. And although they may be a little more comfortable, you don't need an expensive van to live van life. Eamon and Beck show this with this van.
Pretty simple. That latches back up and the pole comes out. Now we'll show you how we convert this to bed mode. And there you have it. So we went from couch mode to bed mode in less than a minute. So to utilize that space, we've created a laundry storage for our bed sheets, and just a little cubby hole. Okay,
let's talk about fixed beds versus beds that you have to make every day like this. The Sprinter is not as wide as the Ram ProMaster, for example, where in the Ram ProMaster, you can get away with sleeping sideways sometimes, even if you're 6 foot, 6'1", because the van has just enough room for sideways sleeping. Rather than here, as they're sleeping back to front, you can see their pillows are at the back. If you sleep sideways, you save a lot of space. But here, since they're in a 144 Sprinter, they're both tall, they can't sleep sideways, they have to sleep vertically in the van, and sleep vertically. I mean, sleep back to front in the van. And if this was a fixed bed, that space would just be limited for them all day, completely unusable. So it makes sense for them that they go with this kind of bed. So if you can, I recommend doing a fixed bed. At least for me, that's what I prefer. But for a small van like this, you might have to work with the trade-off of needing to do a non-fixed bed. I will say their system of convertible bed, I think, is one of the best because you can just pull it down, slide it down. It seems much easier to me than even what we did in the Project A van, where you have these extra cushions that you have to push into the middle.
If you just open this out, you can see we've got a bag and we just chuck our dirty laundry in there. Eamon likes to think the little elves come and just do the laundry because he secretly always somehow magically
It's not part of the contract.
Clean laundry. Here, this big one, you know.
One tiny thing I noticed, if you see right next to their blender, you can see that little eye hook that's sitting down. I'm pretty sure that's to hold their cabinets in place as they drive, kind of batten the hatches. As we talked about in the previous van build, if you haven't seen that episode, check it out. It's ideal to get some kind of catchers for your cabinets that you don't have to think about before you start driving. Here, they have to batten the hatches every time they drive, which of course, ideally, you want to just have everything closed and it automatically is locked.
We have our overhead storage area. So we've got little cubby holes for clothes, underwear, socks.
How about them nets though?
Honestly, the best thing we've done is install these nets. So in our first trip, we did not have these. Every time we were parked on even an itsy bitsy slant, everything would come falling out every time you needed to grab a pair of socks. So these nets are great. They hold everything into place.
That happens sometimes in the Project A van as well. Not to that extreme really, but I would definitely open my cabinet sometimes and have socks roll out.
Lastly, we're going to show you the garage. This is where we keep all the chai. So starting over here, as Beck said, we've got the wheel wells, so we try to utilize those as much as possible. And they run nice and deep, so we've got 2 lawn chairs that stow back there.
Oh, it's super dark.
And then we've got a cord. This is what we could plug into shore power that's hooked up to the charger. This little area is also pretty key. I've got a slack line stored in there, booster cables in case we run into a situation, running shoes, hose. This is our hammock. Obviously, you gotta have a fire extinguisher.
Gotta use every inch of space when you're living in a small home like this.
And then this is the massive pull-out drawer. So this is where we keep all our product. We've got kilos of chai, retail chai, lots of different other products, and these are on 500-pound drawer slides. So that really helps make the space usable and very versatile as well. So I just want to show you our curtains. So we've made these out of Reflectix. These have worked really well. So I just sprayed like sprayed glued and then put this fabric on there and just cut it out in like basically the perfect shape, and it just locks right in the groove. And then same with the side.
Looks pretty nice, although you can see there's some areas where probably light escapes. If you're trying to be stealth and camping in a city or something, you want to get some nice window covers that cover all of the light, ideally, so that no one knows that you're actually living in this van.
Window as well.
Thanks for sticking around and watching our full van tour. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to write in the comments below or find us on Instagram. We're really active there and we're just happy to chat through your van build.
That's all, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you on the road. Go back. Let's get out of here.
Okay, that's awesome. Fun to go back and watch this video. I haven't seen this video in years. And I've been watching Eamon and Beck for a long time. I think that van's great. It's very basic, simple, but has everything you need and no major design flaws, really. However, since I'm such a fan of Eamon and Beck, I may just be looking at this with kind of rose-colored glasses. So if you all see anything that really stands out to you as a not great design decision, let me know. I'd love to see it in the comments, so let me know. With that, go check out Eamon and Beck's channel if you've never seen it before, although if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen a video of Eamon and Beck. They make really great content. Highly recommend. Leave this video a like, and I'll see you next Wednesday.